Okay, we're trying to get a hold of Brandon. I'm sure he'll be calling in just a moment. He is the founder of the Tennessee Conservative, which you can read every day at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. One thing we'll definitely discuss with him right now. He's joining me on the show. Brandon, how are you today, sir?
Man, I'm outstanding. Thank you for having me.
Of course, no problem. So, you guys have been really good at covering the effects of illegal immigration and the border crisis on the state of Tennessee. You know, one story you have on your site, which is really interesting, it shows that red states like Tennessee, especially Tennessee, are seeing higher illegal immigration populations in recent years, especially under the Biden administration. Talk about where you got the data and what it says.
So often you have to go outside of our country to get reporting that's accurate
Yeah.
about what's going on inside our country.
Oh,
And
man.
so the Telegraph, yeah, it's a shame, but the Telegraph posted that the numbers increased for illegal aliens in Republican-led states by 33%, and this is from 11 million to roughly 15 since 2010. Now, here's the kicker: Democrats states have only risen by 11%. So we're almost looking at 300% more. And the report claims, more than 1 in 10 people living in red states are foreign born. And, I get emails from our subscribers all over the state. And this is, certain neighborhoods and certain communities are disproportionately affected by this. It's just like you look at settlement of Germans up in Gatlinburg, or Amish communities in Middle Tennessee. Like, for some reason, there are certain areas that really struggle with this. And Tennessee has recorded roughly 50% increase in the influx of illegals over the last 14 years. And we are, right up toward the top of the list. And it's concerning to a lot of people, and it's causing lots of problems in our state.
Yeah, I mean, any idea why red states are seeing a higher influx? Is part of the reason just because the red states tend to be in the South, so they're a little bit closer to the border, or what is it exactly?
Well, I think there are two things. And even red states. I mean, you look at other places like North Dakota. I mean, it's it's about as far from the
Yeah,
border as you
it's
can
true.
get.
Yeah.
And so I think there are two things primarily driving this, maybe three. The first is, the feds and Democrats are probably punishing red states. They're like, let's A, turn this red state purple and then blue, and B, let's make them pay for the welfare benefits. Let's let their people compete for the jobs. Let's let their people suffer the consequences of our terrible legislation. And I think a second thing that's causing it, Yaffee, is we are a better place to work and live in general. That's why you see a huge migration from blue states to red states, even within our own domestic population. And then finally, we've got so much corruption in Nashville that Republicans will not take action to cut off the magnets of employment, welfare, free education, which costs Tennessee taxpayers $12,000 per illegal alien student per year, which is almost at this point about $700 million a year, and then also the mass transportation. So we are sitting ducks as long as we continue to turn on the magnets that draw people here to break our laws and take advantage of our citizenry.
Speaking with Brandon Lewis, he's with the Tennessee Conservative. In a moment, you have another story about the impact of illegal aliens voting in Tennessee. But something we talked about before, they don't necessarily even have to vote to have an impact because they're counted in the census. I mean, Trump tried to make it so that they were not counted in the official census numbers, and it was kind of overturned by the courts and everything else. So you have illegal immigrants come to these areas, and they're counted in the census. And a lot of times, if they're in Democrat areas, even in red states, you get more Democrat representation out of that state because they're counted. Am I right on that?
Oh yeah, and so we see that, and there have been some pieces of legislation passed. Hensley and Ritchie passed a bill which was killed previously by Republicans, but thankfully they got it through. That says that local election coordinators must compare voter rolls with other databases for U.S. citizens. But that's done county by county. And frankly, you and I both know that. I mean, just look at the post office, right? They're not always very detailed oriented, and they don't always follow through on what they're supposed to do. But there was a recent report by the American First Policy Center, and it said there's a lot of citizen or non-citizen voting issues in 14 states, including Tennessee. And the sheet details the statistics of the number of illegal aliens in each state and how illegals can vote to literally determine the outcomes of elections. You know, I don't think that is as critically important in Tennessee elections right now, but Democrats always play a long-term game, right? They are always playing chess. The Republicans are playing checkers, or so it appears, and every time they get the reins of power, they don't move 2 or 3 steps. They go as far as they can, and then we spend our time, instead of moving us to a conservative agenda, just trying to undo the damage done by the Democrats, and that is a losing strategy. So it is my hope that in Tennessee we can secure these elections a little bit better so we have less of that to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of people are bringing up, I'm sure people probably brought it up on the text line right now. They say, well, it's already illegal for illegal aliens to vote, so why are conservatives making a big deal out of this? But of course, you and I know that just because it's illegal, it still has to be enforced. And then you have states like Alabama, they purge their voter rolls trying to enforce the law, and then the Department of Justice goes after them. You know, not illegal immigrants voting, but they go after the states. So part of the problem is enforcement, right?
Obviously. I mean, we've got laws against panhandling, petty theft, littering, loitering, all of this stuff. It's inside the Tennessee's ordinances, and inside, or the law TCA code, and then it's inside the city of Chattanooga's ordinance. But like, if you have a governor and a mayor that do not want to enforce these things rigidly, then they go on, right? I mean, people typically only stop doing behaviors they're fearful they'll get caught doing, and only those that have a significant enough penalty to deter the action. And in this case, we just don't have as high a bar as we need.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right on that. Brandon Lewis with the Tennessee Conservative. All right, I know that you are a big supporter of Michelle Renaud. She is running for Tennessee State Representative District 27. She was able to pull an upset in the Republican primary. Now she is running against Democrat Yaffee Lennon. And you believe that conservatives have one clear choice for Tennessee State Representative in District 27. Talk about that.
Well, the first thing I would say, and I think we proved that this is wrong, Hazelwood and many of the folks in leadership continually told folks that District 27 was moderate, and it's not. I've seen the polling data, both internal and external. They are very conservative, just like your listening audience, right? If you have a conservative program, you have a conservative listening audience. And Yaffee Lennon's opinions are almost like the polar opposites of Michelle's. She thinks there should be more abortions, and that having a pro-life opinion makes you an extremist. She said this recently in an interview. She also wants to implement gun control, which I know District 27 is not for. She pushes the legalization of marijuana, which is essentially already legal. Republicans have let that happen. There's a store on every corner. It may be one molecule different, but it's here already. And then also, she wants to see a lot of issues related to illegal immigration slow walked or nothing done about it at all. And so Michelle has made her positions on that very clear. She's very conservative. She will not be swayed. I think she's somebody that can go up there, and even when there is all this corporate push against Republicans to do the right thing that their constituents are demanding, I think she has the fortitude, and I think that she has the Constitution to push through that, even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to get her on the show sometime soon, maybe next week, right before the election, and get her take on that as well. Brandon Lewis with the Tennessee Conservative. Read it, TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next time, my friend.
Thanks, Michael. Have a good one, buddy.
You as well. By the way, I want to tell you a little bit more about the Tennessee Conservative. You know, we know this. Most of these so-called mainstream journalists are Democrats, and many of you listening, you want an alternative news source with a conservative take on Tennessee news. the best place to go, TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Now, if you go to the website, you'll see some of the stories we were just talking about. But at the top of the page, click the subscribe button. You'll get a daily newsletter, and it's absolutely free. Doesn't cost you a penny to get the latest in conservative news. So go right now, TennesseeConservativeNews.com, TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Sign up, subscribe today, and when you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you.